What if intuition is not real? It is a wellness tool hiding in plain sight. Today we get tactical with the mystical. Gloria Battini is in the house, a grounded spiritual guide who helps people unlock their psychic senses and use them in everyday decisions. Think less crystal museum, more nervous system friendly clarity that upgrades how you work, love, and heal. Buckle up. We are normalizing the paranormal with receipts. Welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, the weekly space where mental health meets practical wisdom. I'm Charu, and today's conversation is about the inner tech we all carry your intuition, your knowing, and your subtle signals. Gloria's methodology blends mediumship, energy hygiene, coaching, and a lot of compassion. We will unpack the science of adjacent stuff, the spiritual stuff, and the daily life stuff. The North Star is simple. Use what you already have to make your life lighter and your mind steadier. Gloria, it's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Charu. This is great. I'm excited.
Me too, me too. Thank you. So, Gloria, let's start at base camp. Are psychic abilities special issue or standard issue? If it is a standard issue, what is the first on ramp for someone who thinks they have zero signal?
Okay. So definitely they are standard. They're not gifts. I want to really make this loud and clear. Make this loud and clear. These are not gifts. And I think that unfortunately, a lot of people are not opening up to their own psychic abilities because of the conditioning that we have received from society for such a long time, for even centuries, about how psychic abilities are, something that's deceiving or maybe like reserved for certain people with gifts. It's definitely absolutely not like that. We are all born this way, 100%. There's nobody on, no human being is born without an intuition. It really is all there. But what can happen is that, because of life, because of our upbringing, because of, a number of different things, we get disconnected from ourselves. We get disconnected from ourselves, we get disconnected from our intuition, and then we feel like we don't sense it. We feel like, oh, I couldn't do that. I don't feel the connection. The connection is there for sure, but it might be you might be receiving a little bit of disturbance, let's say. And that means that you're not sensing it, but it's definitely there. It's definitely there.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Yeah, it's like we're not broken. We might be just buffering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so-
Putting it. Yeah.
yeah. And now that we've established intuition as something innate, let's talk about one of the biggest confusions around it, where intuition feels like anxiety. Many of us confuse fear with foresight. How do you distinguish intuition from anxiety in real time?
Yeah. So to me, they come from two different places, you see. So if you think about anxiety, yes, it is true that anxiety is, we feel it in the body, right? It comes up. I feel like it has different symptoms for different people, right? Some people feel it like tightening in your stomach, or some people feel like a raised heartbeat in your chest, like it's hard to breathe. And so it really is different. However, the origin of it is different from your intuition. So anxiety originates in the mind, your intuition originates in your gut, right? So anxiety is usually catastrophizing, usually tells you, it usually carries negative thoughts. It usually carries overthinking. It usually carries fear, like you were saying earlier. So it's nothing encouraging, but quite the opposite. It's something that is trying to stop you, that's trying to make you afraid. It is not empowering whatsoever. That is anxiety, that is fear. The good thoughts, the thoughts that come from, yeah, I can do this. I have a good feeling about this. I care, or even if you don't necessarily have a good feeling about something, but you're like, oh, I don't think I should be doing that. But that thought is not paired to fear, but is simply paired to something that's like, I can't really explain why, but I don't think that that thing is for me. but it doesn't have anxiety, it doesn't have fear, it doesn't have overthinking. It's a more of a grounded experience, right?
Mm.
So to me, I've learned over the years that if it's up here in the head, it's not to listen to. Not to be listened to. If it comes from the gut, from the heart, and if it feels grounded, even if it's telling me that I shouldn't be doing something, but it's the feeling behind it, right? If it feels grounded, if it feels safe and encouraging, then yes, that's intuition.
Yes, yes. Understandable. But can you give us a 60-second protocol someone can run in a tough moment at work or in a relationship?
Absolutely. So 60 seconds to what connect to your intuition. Okay, okay. So what you can do, first of all, you need to calm your nervous system down. That's the first thing, right? You have to get into a regulated state. So you want to close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. Otherwise, you can just gaze on the floor, and you can either be seated if you can. Otherwise, if there's no option, you can be standing. But just breathe for a few seconds. Just do some box breathing. Inhale for full, hold it up for a couple of seconds, then exhale for 6 seconds, and do maybe like 5 or 6 of these, right? Just to like bring you back down, just to calm yourself down. Yeah.
Mm.
Then you want to focus on the place that is behind your eyes and between your ears. So it's at the center of your mind. And imagine that that's your driving seat of your body, right? Of this
Mm.
like human experience that you're having. So that place in between your ears, behind your eyes, like at the center of your mind, that is your driving seat. And make sure that you feel that connection from up there down into your heart. So these two things need to be feeling like in balance. And then I always love the dials. I feel like it's a technique that I use a lot with my clients. I use a lot with my students as well. If the anxiety is up high and the fear is up high, I always imagine that there's like two dials in front of me, two volume controls, right? One that says anxiety or like rational mind or analytical mind, the other one that says intuition. And I always check what numbers are they on, and if
Mm.
the anxiety one is turned up all the way to 10 or to 100, I then move it down intentionally, like, okay, let's bring that volume down. And then I bring the intuition up. And it works. It always works. It always works. This is literally like 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, maybe 90 seconds. But sit down or even standing, close your eyes, do some box breathing, 5 or 6 rounds, then go into the driving seat of your head, in the middle of your head. Make sure you're feeling like your heart is open, you're connected, and then imagine these two dials in front of you. What number is your anxiety? What number is your intuition? And make sure that you turn one all the way down and your intuition all the way up. And you should start feeling a lot more leveled.
Mm.
Okay?
Yes,
A lot.
yes. And I love how you're telling us to use our imagination and focus to clear our mind. And I also love how one can do this even in a crowded grocery store line. So
Yeah.
very great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you teach that the body has those. What are the top somatic cues that a message is green light versus red flag?
Yes. So this all comes down to grounding, you see. So if something feels, um always check with your body. Always check with your body. Your body will communicate in many, many different ways. If your heart rate speeds up,
Mm.
if your palms are sweaty, if your legs start to feel like really heavy, what are all these connected to? Right? If it feels tight in your chest or in your stomach, if you feel like you can't get your words out because your throat is like starting to like, it doesn't know. Those to me are all signs that your body is saying, you need to check what you're doing. You need to stop for a second and you need to check what you're doing. And that's when I would probably do that 90 seconds exercise that we just talked about. Right? So pick up on the body's clues and then do that, and then come back to what you were doing or the conversation that you were having or whatever, right? Um, because then If it still feels like that, if it still doesn't feel right, then you know that there's something that needs to be done about that. Otherwise, intuition and something that's aligned feels grounded and feels spacious
Mm.
usually, right? So all of these things, sweaty palms and heart rate speeding up, maybe even feeling like there's something that is trapping you, maybe even like around you, right? Those are all the red flags. The very green flags, it's spaciousness.
Mm.
If it feels spacious, if it feels light, if you feel relaxed into it, yawning is a great a great, way of knowing that you're like relaxed and you're shifting energy as well, that you're feeling good in a certain space or with certain people around you. I was actually I came across a video on I think it was YouTube yesterday. And it says, in a relationship, we're all chasing the butterfly feeling, the
Mm.
butterflies
Yeah.
and the feeling. But actually, the what we should be chasing is the regulated nervous system. So it's the yawns,
Mm.
right? It's the yawns that we should be chasing because that's when we know that we feel safe with another person because we're really like slowing down. So anything that makes you feel grounded, makes you feel spacious,
Mm.
makes you feel even bored, even bored. Because I think we
Mm.
should be chasing more boredom. We should be chasing more boredom because that's how we then get ourselves into the space of creating,
Mm.
you know? We don't get bored enough, I'm afraid.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't
for
get
sure.
bored enough.
That makes sense. And I love how you're saying for our listeners to be aware of those subtle body hints. And awareness, I feel like, is the very first answer for most of the problems. So if you see that your body is giving you signals, try to understand why is that happening, and based on that, go for the trial and error method. Go for different stuff, see what works, what doesn't, and move forward. Right?
And you know what? Even what I would also observe with regards to the body signals,
Mm.
I would try to observe if there are any patterns.
Mm.
So is the tightening in the chest always happening around certain people more than others? Is it when you're thinking about certain things more than others? Is it maybe just at work or just at home? I would try to understand if there's a pattern there because also that can be very telling for sure. It
Yeah.
can be very
It's like collecting data.
is absolutely
Uh,
is. Yeah.
mm. And the I feel like these body hints, subtle hints, helps us helps us be a bit more grounded in a way too.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Absolutely. I think that if we work like you said, it's all about awareness.
Mm.
All about awareness. I feel exactly the same way like you. Like I feel 100 sorry, once we have awareness, 50% of the job is done because we are recognizing
Yeah.
something there first and where it is, and then we can now figure out what we can do about it, right? If we
Mm.
don't pick up on those things, if we don't have the awareness of what is happening in our body, then we can't do anything about it.
Yes, yes. It is important to have just a grounded presence. And I also feel like that presence becomes even more essential when intuition meets something tender, like grief or loss. And your mediumship helps people find meaning after loss. How does connecting with loved ones become a mental health intervention rather than spiritual escapism?
That's a great question, actually. That's a really, really great question. Um, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation around death in general and around mediumship in general. Luckily, I feel like we're moving towards, science is sort of starting to open up, and giving us, certain answers with everything, being energy. Um, Mediumship is very important. It's very, very important. Because it's not about, very often when we lose a loved one, we're not ready, right? We're not ready. It's not very often that we actually get to say goodbye, that we know that somebody is passing and we get to say goodbye, right? And so I find that the connection with mediumship, understanding that their energy is around us regardless,
Mm.
it's giving us more time to process what has happened, to be able to connect with them. It's giving us more time. And that's definitely a mental health, a help in our mental health, in the state of our mental health, for sure. It's not about pretending that they're there, or not accepting the fact that they passed. It's simply learning that our relationship with them has changed. And yeah, I always feel like that. Like death is not the end of anything. Death to me is a changing conversation. We go from having a physical body to not having a physical body anymore. But when we don't have a physical body, we become energy again, right? We're just energy. And us as a human being, when we are in the physical body, we can speak both the spoken language, but we can also learn the language of energy, which is very much what mediumship does, right? But it's not obviously not the only language of energy, but that's what mediumship does. And that's a very lucky thing to have for us, to be able to learn also the language of energy, because that allows us to look after ourselves by transforming the relationship that we have with our loved ones. So it's not about not accepting that they're gone. It's simply accepting the fact that at some point we all go back to being energy. And it's okay for us to still have a relationship with them, and for us to learn how we can do that.
Mm.
You know, so in terms of the grief journey, it helps a lot because, as I said, not very often we get to say goodbye, but also because it just helps us understand our own life even more. What we get to experience as human beings, and then when we become energy again, I just think it expands the life experience so much. It makes it so much faster, so much bigger. Well,
Yes, yes, yes. And what you said makes me curious about what ethical guardrails should people look for when seeking a reading.
mm, yes. You have to always follow your intuition,
Mm.
ultimately. Follow your intuition. Um, if you don't feel, every person, every medium reads in a different way. Yeah, because simply because using your psychic abilities is not something that, yes, it's something that we all have, but it's something also very personal to us, right? So how we utilize them, how we read them, our communication style, they're all different, right? So there's different styles of mediumship, of course, as many as however many mediums there are, literally, right? And so I would say try to find the person that you feel safe. That really, when you look at what they do, if you can look up their work in advance, that would be great. Instead of going like completely blind in, if you can research them online, see if they have any videos up of how they do things, do they have any like sample readings, anything like that can tell you what you could expect. I think it's great because it's going to help you inform your judgment. It's going to help your intuition, because if you watch the video, and you don't like what you see, and then that's not the experience for you, right? So I would say if you can research in advance, that's great. Um, Follow your intuition. If you feel attracted to really working with someone and you're like, I have no idea how, even what they do, then follow that as well, because it's energy that is calling you towards them. Yeah. But ultimately, yes, follow your intuition. Also, be very aware of, I feel, of people that try to instill fear, or that give you like a sense of urgency, like you have to do this, you have to, or you have to do it for X amount of sessions, or you have to. No, that's not how it works. That really is not how it works. A mediumship is a very spacious thing, and it goes at the pace of the client. Nobody is pushing you to book anything. If somebody gets pushy, then I'll be very aware of that. Very, very aware of that. And also, um, oh goodness, what was I saying earlier? Just before I said about being pushy. It's left me now. It's left.
Like it, take your time.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, ultimately follow your intuition. Oh yeah, sorry, the negative messages. The
Mm.
or that, there's, I'm not saying that, this is what mediumship is about. You specifically asked for the red flags, so that's what I'm gonna list. There's a lot of amazing mediums out there that would never, ever put you in this kind of situations at all.
Mm,
But there are potentially people that are like, giving you negative messages
mm,
because, they perhaps want you to work with them more, if they instill some fear in you, that's probably like that. But don't. Messages from the other side are not fearful, are not negative, unless a soul needs help, because sometimes we do find trapped souls and we need to help them. But then again, once we help them, the issue is resolved. There's no anger, there's no, it's not like that. So
mm.
it's just stay away from anything that makes you feel fearful. Because that's not right. That's not right. That's not what me
Yes.
about.
I love that on the borderline, it's always follow your intuition. It's like saying most of your problem solutions are the solutions that you give to yourself. The best solutions are always the ones that you give to yourself. Of course, you must take guidance from others, you must take external help, external guidance, but the decision, the choice should always be yours. That's, I feel like, one takeaway from the conversation.
I completely agree with you, and I feel that it's very easy to say, oh, but I want a
Mm,
framework. I want something that I can follow, right?
mm,
But if I give you something, if I tell you to do this and follow this step by step, it's not going to work for you if it's worked for me,
mm,
right? Because we need to create something that is unique to you because you're a different person. And like you said, yes, your intuition is the first way of doing that, right? So you follow that. So and be open to the guidance for sure, but
mm.
ultimately you have the last word.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And I love how your approach to intuition isn't just about healing emotions, it's also about guiding decisions in real world contexts like work and money. So let's talk about career moves. How can intuitive data complement spreadsheets when deciding on a job, a launch, or even an investment?
My goodness, that is fundamental. I feel fundamental for sure. Fundamental, fundamental. If there's something that looks good and maybe is the job that you've always wanted, but or maybe like, maybe is a lot of money, or maybe it's a great promotion, but something that doesn't even make sense, but something in your gut is telling you, wait a little bit. It's not the right time, wait a little bit. Then follow that. Follow that. Intuition is everything. Intuition is everything.
Yes, yeah.
People that you work with. And you know what? The more and I feel like it leaves us breadcrumbs, it leaves us breadcrumbs constantly. And for a very long time, we don't even pick them up. But when we start picking them up, that's when we can see more and more breadcrumbs along the way, and that's how we get to connect more to it.
Mm,
And that's how we make it then part of our daily life, part of our careers, our jobs, how we deal with money, how we deal with loads of different things, decisions and colleagues and everything. It's about starting to follow the little breadcrumbs, and it won't lead you astray. The only thing is, that you're going to feel it's possible that you're going to feel very uncomfortable, because it might lead you somewhere else, that is different from what people expect from you,
mm,
because it's your own intuition, right? It's connected to your soul, and it might lead you to do things in a different way than what people have taught you, or what people expect from you. And that can be one of the things that stops us from following our intuition, because we think that we have to listen to them because we think that a certain thing is expected, of us. But that's when you have to really, really
mm,
be strong and stand up and be like, no, this is my path. This is, I might not see the full path yet, but I feel like this is what I'm meant to follow now, and I'm going to discover it bit by bit. So have that courage to do things differently,
mm.
have that. It will pay off for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. And I feel like intuition has its important role in every part of our lives. So this is like a big takeaway point for people, for our listeners who think intuition is something that that we should only use for emotional awareness stuff to understand how what we're feeling or how we're feeling. But intuition is also something that you should trust in one of your biggest career options, career decisions, and yes, just like I said, investment and stuff. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah. And yes, Gloria, it was a wonderful conversation with you. Thank you for coming on the show.
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, me too. And before we wrap our meeting, for our listeners who would love to connect with you, can you please tell them the ways to do so?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to my website, which is gloriabattini.com, and you can see everything that I do, the different kinds of type of modalities that I use and different kind of sessions that I offer and everything. But if you're into live events, I do like online events. I have a YouTube channel, which is my name, Gloria Battini, and I do 2 to 3 lives each week. And they go from like tarot readings to mediumship readings to moon ceremonies. I really love working with astrology and harnessing the energy of the moon. So I do a lot of that. And I'm also a teacher on the Insight Timer app. I don't know if you're familiar with the app. It's a meditation app. And it's really it's great. There's thousands of teachers, so it's not only definitely not only me. There's thousands and thousands of teachers, and it really, really help you in your spiritual journey and in the journey of coming home to yourself. So I host live events there. I've got loads of courses on there, loads of meditations that are completely free for you to use to listen to. So yeah, so these are my this is where I hang out.
Great, amazing, amazing. So, all the details regarding how to connect with Gloria, like the YouTube website, the app, will be in show notes. So, I request all our listeners to go and check that too. Well, Gloria, thank you for making this invisible practical.
Thank you so much, Tara. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Listeners, your mind wants stability and your soul wants truth. Give both a seat at the table. Pick one tool today. Run it for 7 days. Watch what shifts. If it helps, keep it. If it does not, bless it and move on. Your inner tech is not a party trick. It is part of your well being stack. If this sparked something, share this episode with one friend who is navigating a big decision. Then journal one line tonight. What did my body whisper today? This is where the upgrade begins. I'm Charu. This is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Take what serves, leave the rest, keep listening inward.